November 1999. Two letters are sent on the same time to spread the terror in the city Lahore, Pakistan. I was there. It is my city. And I remember people started to close their doors. People started to shut their doors after 6 p.m. And people started to avoid going outside after 6 p.m. They were all scared of only one monster. These letters became a wildfire in all electronic and print media to terrify not only the entire country but also internationally, whoever read, heard, or saw this news. One letter is being received by the Lahore police and one letter is being received by a local media house, Jang newspaper. The parcel is being received by Jamil Chistee, who was a crime editor at the time for Jang newspaper. When the parcel was being opened and read, the whole chanting office turned into the graveyard, pitch silence.
कमरे में ड्रम रखा हुआ था, मैंने उसके ऊपर एक बल्ब था वो जलाया। मैंने जब ड्रम खोला तो आप सोच भी नहीं सकते मेरी क्या हालत हुई। उसमें लोथड़े थे और एसिड से मेरे हाथ जल गए।
It was a confession of killing 100 boys. The parcel contains these victims' photographs, their names and their home addresses. The devil under human skin was Javed Iqbal.
में से 3-4 बच्चे घरों को वापस आ गए। फिर आपका सारा ये कोई नहीं आएगा। किस तरह आप कहते हैं कोई नहीं आएगा? शाहीन साहब किस तरह?
What series of events made him a monster like this? Who was Javed Iqbal? And why he murdered 100 boys? And also why he surrendered himself not to the police but he used media house, a local newspaper, to gain the attention, because when he surrendered it was the last day of the year 1999. Let's find out everything about Javed Iqbal. And if you're a fan of dark, mysterious, shocking mysteries, true crimes, please subscribe to our channel. Currently, at this moment, we are uploading twice a week shocking mysteries. I am Uzair Sipra. Welcome to another episode on the shocking mystery on The Mirror. Javed Iqbal Mughal. He was born in 1961. His father, Muhammad Ali Mughal, he was a businessman. He belonged to a very rich family. He was the youngest in the family. Javed Iqbal was a spoiled child from the early age. His father loved him a lot. No matter what he says, his father always fulfills his desire. Because his father was a very rich man, he was a businessman, so in a very young age, he already owned a heavy bike and few cars, including a Pajero. At that time, Pajero was known as a symbol of status in the community. As a spoiled kid, he was already engaged in the unhealthy activities. He was a gay and always have his eyes in the school on the boys. So his lust was that increased. He started to find alternative ways to attract the boys. And he did his intermediate from Islamia College Railway Road, Lahore. During his study, his father bought a bungalow in Shadbagh and gifted him. To fulfill his desires and the lust, he started to use different strategies. He started to attract boys by different ways. The first way, he built a game center. He opened a game center which was free of cost for the boys from age 6 to 16. Most of the boys are runaway boys. They are from far away from those undeveloped area to seek a good future in Lahore city. So he had an eye on these boys. He attracted them and he used to give them the free token to play in his game center. They used to come to his game center, play the video games, and he started to drop $100 rupees note on the floor to observe who is going to pick up the note. Any boy who pick up the note, and he used to punish him by taking that boy into a small room which was built inside the game center. where he sexually abused them. Another way of attracting the boys, in a similar strategy, he developed a fish aquarium. After the fish aquarium, he built a fair price shop where he used to sell the home appliances and the groceries as compared to the local market in a very fair and very cheap prices, where he also used the same strategy to attract the boys who ever come to shop in his store. He used the same method to sexually abuse them. And there was one more method. He built a Sunnyside school. It was an educational center to recruit the boys in his school and use the same strategies. Now, I must say, this monster, Javed Iqbal, was an extremely intelligent person. To just have a good relationship with the local police, he even started a monthly magazine by the name of the Anti-Corruption Crime. He used to interview these police officers and publish their interviews in this newspaper to just have a good rapport in front of them. But inside, the monster was keep doing his work without letting anybody know his inner plans. And then afterward, this is the time in 1999 when the pen pal was very active in Pakistan. There were some printed copies where people, they could have friendship by postal. They write letters. So he uses strategies to buy these magazines where he could find these boys' photos and ask them to contact him, and then he used to buy expensive gifts for them to attract them, and then finally trap them for his main agenda, for his main goal, to sexually abuse them. So he made so many boyfriends. His journey started to on one track to move on one direction, which was very much dark. And the people of the future were going to witness the darkest monster of the history, not only the Pakistan, but entire world. Family already knew his all the dark activities. So because of the family pressure, they started to insist him to get married. So he proposed one of his boyfriend's sister to marry him, so he could also maintain his relation with his boyfriend. But that marriage couldn't be last long. So eventually they were separated. So again, to keep up his lust and sexual desires and his illegal business, he asked one of his boyfriend to marry his own sister, so he could also maintain his relation with his boyfriend, and on the same time he could do all the illegal business he was already doing. It was so strange, it was so pathetic, and it was so gross. He never wanted to disconnect with any of his boyfriend. In 1990, he was charged for the first time in the case of sodomy, but he was escaped. And then police arrested one of his boyfriend. So when he heard his boyfriend is arrested or captured by the police, he surrendered himself right away. But after some time, he was bailed out. This sodomy case has just ended. He had an eye on a boy who belonged to a very wealthy and well-known family. But this time, the whole neighborhood got extremely frustrated by his evil action. And then they took the matter in their own hand. They all captured Javed Iqbal, and then they started to beat him up. He apologized, and then they made a written statement, and then they released him because of his father. His father was a very good man. He was a very good businessman, but somehow Javed Iqbal turned into an evil monster. Now the time came, his father passed away. Now he had a space in that neighborhood because of his father. His father was known as a good man, but when father passed away, he had to leave that neighborhood. See, he already had a big amount of his inheritance from his father, and also he had a cash out 3.5 million rupees. At that time in 1999, 3.5 million rupees were a very big deal. So he had so many cars and he had bikes, and he bought a very luxurious bungalow, and he installed a swimming pool there. But that point became a hub for him to fulfill his sexual desires from these boys. Now, during this time, there are two versions, there are two stories from both are very good sources. One source, when he opened a game center, he abused one of the boys, and then later this boy came back along with his somebody. They beat him up that bad he had to go to hospital for the treatment, and he was there under the doctor's observation for 22 days. And after 22 days he was recovered when he came out, and he was arrested in another case of the sodomy because police was having an eye on him. Another version, another story from also very good sources is, in this house he just bought it and he installed a swimming pool. He captured a boy who was a massager, and he invited him. He used to provide the services at home to massage people, so he asked him for his services. So he got him in his house, and somehow he abused him very badly. And then in the nighttime around 3 a.m. he woke up and he saw a rifle there, and he took the rifle and he started to crush his head of this Javed Iqbal, and he was keep hitting him until he heard the crack sounds from his skulls, and then he got scared. Maybe he's died already, and he ran away. So that resulted him to hospitalized and stay there for several months under the treatment. And nobody from Javed Iqbal's family came to see or look after him in the hospital except his mother. His mother cried a lot for him. So finally his mother passed away. This was the turning point for this person, this Javed Iqbal, who did not commit any murder at this moment. But when he realized nobody is gonna talk to him, nobody is talking to him, nobody wants to get close to him because of his evil action, evil habits, so everybody has left him. He was all alone in this world except his mother. And when mother was also finally gone, left him alone in this world, so he realized he has to take revenge. So he realized he's really alone. So this lonely man promised himself that he's gonna make 100 mothers weep for their children. So he started to draw the plan in his mind. So one more thing, during he was in the hospital for 6 months, several months, his treatment required a lot of money. So his relatives sold his house, his cars, and everything to give his mother whatever they could do to help his mother, or help the mother to save only child that she wanted to be with. So he lost everything. He also lost his mother. So once again, he came on the ground. He became a homeless person. But he had left a little bit money in his portion, where he rented a house in Gulshan Ravi. It was a small house where he started to continue the same evil activities. He used to call the boys, he used to seduce them, he used to get them there, abduct them. He used to go to the Data Darbar. There was a restaurant. He used to attract them, take them in this house, do the sexual desire, and then finally drop them into the acid, hydrochloric acid, until they are fully dissolved and became water. And he started to flush them through the toilet. At one time, neighbors, they started to complain of a very strange bad smell, and then they complain to the property dealer or the local police. And then when he heard, when he knew about this complaint, he started to change his method. Because of the acid he used to dissolve the bodies, he started to take those acid, and throw into the river Ravi. So in this way, he murdered 100 children. He took 100 lives of the innocent children from the age 6 to 16. So when he already killed 100 boys, he wrote 2 letters. He sent 2 letters at the same time, one to the police, Lahore police, and one to the local media house, that is a Jang newspaper, to our name Hashmi. The letter was received by Jamil Chistee, who was the crime editor at the time for the Jang newspaper. When he read the letter, and when we saw 75 photos along with these, the information of these victims, 75 photos of the victims with the names and the addresses of their homes.
EMD से एक खत आया, एक लिफाफा आया, उसमें खत था, मैंने खोला, उसमें 75 बच्चों की पिक्स थी और उसमें एक तहरीर थी.
Everybody was frightened and terrified. Jamil Chistee took one of his friends to investigate whether this letter is true or false. There were 2 things ran to his mind. This letter content is 100% legit. It's a legitimate, it's a true statement. Another thought was somebody is manipulating and dragging him into this big disaster.
मेरे ज़हन में 2 पॉइंट आए कि या तो ये वाक़या दुरुस्त है, अगर ये वाक़या दुरुस्त है, वाक़या दुरुस्त नहीं है, तो फिर कोई किसी की दुश्मनी की वजह से इसको, इस शख्स को फंसाना चाह रहा है.
So anyhow, he took his friend and reached to Gulshan Ravi 16B. There was a small house. The door was locked, and he used neighbor's house to jump over the wall to reach to that house. And when he opened, as instructed in the letter said, you will find all the evidences there. You will find 99 shoe pairs of these boys, and you will find all the clothes and the hair of these boys. And there is a 1 barrel contains hydrochloric acid, where I used to dissolve all these human remains of these boys and then throw them into the river Ravi. When he opened the door, and he was shocked to see it was exactly everything same written in the letter of Javed Iqbal. And he said when he touched the barrel, his hand burned out, and he had a very strange and very bad smell of the human remains. Deliberately, some of the bodies he did not dissolve fully. He put more water to let these human remains stay there as an evidence that he's not telling a lie. And it was 100% legitimate, and it was 100% true.
कमरे में ड्रम रखा हुआ था, मैंने उसके ऊपर एक बल्ब था, वो जलाया. मैंने जब ड्रम खोला तो आप सोच भी नहीं सकते मेरी क्या हालत हुई. उसमें लोथड़े थे और एसिड से मेरे हाथ जल गए. उसको जलाया तो मैंने जो ही ड्रम ऐसे उठाया तो मेरे हाथ जल गए और बहुत बैड स्मेल आई. खबर थी वो उसकी किस तरह बना के दी और किस तरह वो लीड लगी जंग में. 100 बच्चों के कत्ल का इंकशाफ, यानी कंफर्मेशन नहीं, इंकशाफ.
Jamil Chistee had a very good relation in the police department. He called his friend, he's one of the best friends, Captain Zubair, to investigate. When Captain Zubair knew everything, Captain Zubair with his team, they arrested all the siblings of Javed Iqbal. So they arrested them in order when Javed Iqbal will hear that his siblings are already in prison, he will show up. but he never showed up. Upon Jamil Chishtee's request, police arranged a room as an office for Jamil Chistee in Gulberg police station, where he started to interrogate all these siblings one by one. So two things happened. One, the first thing happened, he won or he gained all these siblings' trust, because these siblings, while they were in the police station, they were beaten up by the police. Now, he wanted to stop all this BS, because nothing to do with the Javed Iqbal, why they are beating his siblings. But their theory, once they will capture their Javed Iqbal's siblings, so Javed Iqbal will show up. But it didn't happen. So Jamil Chistee, he started to interrogate one by one all these siblings and let them go. And he instructed Captain Zubair, do not arrest them, let them go. So there was a one benefit, very big benefit. He gained their trust. They started to cooperate with him to find where is Javed Iqbal. On one occasion, because Javed had no more money except some travel checks. So these checks at that time in the banks, anybody can go to the bank, show these travel checks, and then they can cash. And there are 16,000 rupees of these few checks. So Jamil Chistee, he already knew Javed will need money very soon. He had two of his colleagues or his partners in crime. Both were underage, both are teenagers. One was Sajid, he was with him. Exactly happened as he thought. They were outside the bank. He sent his partner to go to the bank and cash these travel checks. When he reached there, as instructed by the police, the bank manager, they called the police, and police arrested Sajid. And then at time, Javed Iqbal, he was watching him and he ran away. He escaped. Now, because Sajid was very beloved to Javed Iqbal, and Jamil Chistee already have received this letter. Jamil Chistee, he says he spent days and nights restlessly. He started to investigate the whole case. He started to learn the psychology of this character, Javed Iqbal. And he knew, because Sajid is also arrested now, Javed will show up, but not to the police, but to the media house, because he already told Jamil Chistee in the letter that he is scared of police. Police is gonna kill him. He doesn't want to be killed by the police before he is going to tell everything to whole media house. So he wanted the media house to publish everything, whatever he wanted the rest of the world know whoever Javed Iqbal is. This was my mission. I'm sending you these letters. I'm sending you these evidences. I have a lot to tell you about my life. Why I killed 100 boys, why I took 100 lives. Behind there is a purpose. Behind there is a reason. Because I am alone. Everybody has left me. I have nothing to lose. I'm not afraid of dying. But I have this goal now. I want to tell the whole world why I did this. So this is why I'm not going to the police this time. I'm coming to you. So Jamil Chistee already knew Javed Iqbal will turn up. He told the security guard at the Jang news paper at the security guard office that if a man comes here and he tells you that he is a Javed Iqbal, he murdered 100 boys, do not counter question him. Instead, rather take him to my cabin, to my office where I used to sit there. Meanwhile, Jamil Chistee was gone to interrogate Sajid, who was arrested by the police, by Captain Zubair. Again, exactly whatever Jamil Chistee had in his mind happened. Again, this Javed Iqbal showed up. He came to Jang newspaper and he said he is Javed Iqbal. He has murdered 100 boys. And the security guard took him to the cabin and he called Jamil Chistee, who was already in the police station interrogating Sajid. This is very interesting twist. Now, he left Sajid there. He didn't tell Captain Zubair that Javed Iqbal already shown up and he's already in the media house. He's already in my office waiting for me. So he put it there and he asked him, he told Captain Zubair, I'm going for a while, I'm going for a break, I will come back. So he came back to Jang newspaper, to his office, to his cabin, where he meets Javed Iqbal.
कैप्टन जुबैर मीर उसको लेके लाहौर आ गया, उसने सीआईए में प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस रखी। तो मैं बड़े अजीब, मेरे फ़ोन पे बेल हुई तो मैं बाहर आया, तो मैंने कहा ये ख़राब हो गई, तो मेरे ऑफिस से कॉल थी कि वो आ गया।
Javed Iqbal, when he sees Jamil Chistee, he had so many questions and he has so many answers. So they both sit together. Something was very cleverly done by Jamil Chistee. Asked some of the video recorders, video shooter, to ask him to come to his media house to videotape the whole interview. That interview has already gone to the BBC and all different channel to prove whatever the whole conversation was going on, because the police was after Javed Iqbal, and there was not only the local police, there was a military police was after him, and he was so scared because once he was outside the office, police could really shoot him directly without any question, without any arrest. So this was the fear Jamil Chistee had in his mind. So what happened, they had for a few hours of the question and answer session in his cabin in the Jang newspaper, and that tape was saved there. Meanwhile, somehow the military police already knew, Captain Zubair already knew Javed Iqbal is with Jamil Chistee in his office in the Jang newspaper, and they are having an interview. And that at that time, Captain Zubair, he tried his best to ask him. He is coming with the military police, and the military police is also there. But then finally, after a few hours, he has to give up, and when he's done all the videotaping successfully, he said, there is one condition: you are not gonna shoot him, you are not gonna beat him up, because he'll be sent to the court for interrogation for the trial very soon. So they had an agreement, so they didn't do anything to Javed Iqbal, and he was wearing a ski mask, or he was covering his face, so the police took him. Now, during the investigation, it was found that 72 victims were identified, because the body was already gone with the acid, and they was already dissolved and flushed through the toilet and the river Ravi. So they were identified by the parents by having their clothes. These poor kids, their poor souls, they left their world, they left their families, left these families, their mothers, their parents, crying for the rest of their lives. Their parents, they identified their children from their clothes and from the shoes. But rest of the 28 were not identified because nothing could be able to retrieved. After the trial, there were verdicts by the judge, has already written in the golden pages with the golden ink. You will be hanged from the Minar Pakistan, and after you die, we'll cut you into the 100 pieces. Each piece will be dissolved into the acid in front of the families of the victims. Not only in front of the family of the victims, but in front of everybody in the open city.
Should be strangulated as he has committed the murder of 100 children, and the court has recommended that execution should take place in the presence of legal heirs of the deceased as provided under section 1002 APPC. After that, his dead body should be cut into 100 pieces, and the same should be put in a drum containing the acid, which has been the formula which has been described by him in his case.
So this was something triggered the law and humanity, the overseas NGOs, they jumped in against this verdicts. This was against the humanity. But the people, they were very happy too after hearing these verdicts. One more interesting fact of Javed Iqbal was when he heard his sentence, he was not worried. He was not sad. He was not shocked. And he was not stressed out. He was smiling. Jamil Chistee said when he was in the court and when the verdict was already given, Javed Iqbal, he looked at me, he smiled, he waved at me. When I get close to him, he shook my hand and he gave me a hug and he whispered in my ear, he said, "Thank you. You have made this possible for me. Without you, it couldn't be done. Police already have killed me. Now you can take my message everywhere in the world."
मुझे दूर से वेव किया जैसे शुक्रिया अदा कर रहा हो। तो उसके बाद जब मेरे पास से आया, मुझे गले मिला, फिर उसने कहा कि आपका मैं बहुत ही मशकूर हूँ, आपने मेरा बहुत बड़ा काम कर दिया।
जावेद इकबाल को उसके डेथ सेल में मिला, फांसी घाट में मिला, तो जिन चीज़ों ने मुझे हैरान किया, पहली बात ये कि वो वहाँ ज़मीन पर बैठा, गद्दे पे बैठा था, उसके हाथ में एक तस्बीह थी, सब्ज़ रंग की तस्बीह, और वो तस्बीह फेर रहा था, जो मैं एक्सपेक्ट नहीं करता था। दूसरा, वो इतना पुरसकून था कि मतलब है, मैंने ज़िंदगी में बहुत कम लोग इतने पीसफुल, पुरसकून देखे।
This was Javed Iqbal. So what do you think about today's shocking true crime? And obviously, I had my goosebumps. I was really in Lahore city at that year, at that time, and I was holding the newspaper when I heard all these verdicts, and we were all shaking, and we have some kind of relief that this monster is finally has seen his end and sealed his fate. And this was today's story. And if you're a fan of the dark mystery, strange and shocking mystery true crimes, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have your own shocking mystery story and you want to share with me, you can send me to my Instagram. As always, please take care of yourself and your surroundings. I am Uzair Sipra. Until next time.
कहा कि जी ये जो ऊपर ओढ़ने वाली चादरें हैं, ये गले में लिपेट के और ऊपर खिड़की जो जंगला होता है ऊपर लगा के और नीचे अपने को झटका दिया। मैंने कहा तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं।
पहली बात ये कि वो ज़हनी कैफियत ऐसी उसकी नहीं थी कि वो ऐसा प्लान करता। नंबर 2, ये कहना कि जी उसने छत से रस्सी लगा के अपने आप को हैंग कर दिया। वो उस कमरे में मैं मौजूद था, वो कमरा कोई 20-25 फुट हायर सीलिंग्स थी, वहाँ पर ये मुमकिन नहीं है। तीसरी बात ये कि वो जो उसका दोस्त था या जो उसका कम्प्लिस था साथ वाले कमरे में, 2 लोगों का एक ही रात एक ही वक्त खुदकुशी करना, इसके मतलब चांसेस बहुत कम है।